Hello there. Good day, wherever you are in the world. My name is Carl Gilliard, also known as the Twice Married Brother. That's what I'm known as on social media, on Instagram at Twice Married Bro, Twitter, Twice Married Brother, and of course on Facebook at Twice Married Brother, TWICE, not the two, TWICE Married Brother. This is my second podcast. And it's taken me a while to get to this one because I had so many thoughts, so many racing ideas on how to follow up with the first one, which was the breakdown of the power of the purpose using the model of the great film by Cameron Crowe, Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise, and Cuba Gooding Jr., Regina King, and Renee Zellweger, Kelly Preston, so many great actors. And as I mentioned in that last podcast, when I had seen this movie many times, and when I was going through the depth of my despair over my second divorce back in 2013, I'm watching the movie, and all of a sudden, all these new and different meanings hit me. So it was like this convergence, perfect storm, as it were, of all these different ideas regarding how men choose their mate, what men should look for in a mate if they are interested in marriage. If you're trying to do something else, just kind of play around and have fun, it really doesn't apply as much. But if you're looking for a lifelong mate, how should a man pursue that? So there are lots of ways I can go about following up on this, but I just want to just kind of start by just summarizing. So as I said in the first podcast, men, it is incumbent upon us. It is important. It is essential to know what you're here to do. Your purpose, it certainly usually is tied into your job, but it may not be. But I equate your purpose, the man's purpose, to his heart. You know, how God has connected our heart uniquely to what we're called in the world to do. And once we know that, we don't really have to even tell that to ladies we come in contact with. We just have to just be behaving in that realm. It's good to tell them. I mean, in my case, I did with my wife, who I have now. She's my third wife. The Twice Married Brother thing is just I could call it the Thrice Married Brother, but I'm not doing it. I had before. Whole nother story. But when I met her and I saw her behavior and response to my heart, response to my calling, as it were, I knew right away that I was on to something that was a little different. And that had a lot more to do with me and my positioning in the world, my maturity, what I'd grown from and into, than it did with the ladies who I was dating. And as a matter of fact, when I look back on it, there was a whole different level of compatibility with the ladies who I was meeting even at the time. You know, obviously Latanya was the best fit for me, but there were others who were around who you know might have worked out as well. I don't know that. I didn't choose them and they didn't choose me, but I'm just saying that it started with me, not with the other person. And what I notice is that people tend to either blame the other person for how and why a relationship failed, or why it's not going so well, or whatever. Now, that's not to say that you don't choose a lemon and you marry somebody that you should not have married, or certainly entered into a dating relationship with somebody who you should not have been dating. That does happen, yes. But the older we get and more mature we become, we should be able to spot these things fairly early. And the key, though, is to not let it come out of our dysfunction, right? Sometimes we can push away something that's really good for us because it's not fitting, when the fit may be us. It may be God telling us we need to make an adjustment. But that's why you need to know who you are. You can't always blame the other person. I mean, you do attract not what you want, but who you are. My wife taught me that. When I have to give her credit. You don't attract what you want. And that's what's interesting, because a lot of people, I'm not going to bang on women. Let's just deal with brothers. I got male friends of mine who had this list of things they want in a woman. And they got the list they gave. List item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item whatever. And when they get done with all those things and they tell me this, I'll say to them, it's okay. So, and if they have a woman they've met who meets these superficial, what they call them, superficial checklist items, I'll say, okay, so how does she respond to you? When you reveal yourself to her, what you do for a living, what your goals in life are, how does she respond to it? Because that's more important than those checklist items. Yeah. I mean, I get that you need to be attracted and all those things. I get that. But at the end of the day, no matter how much you're attracted to that person, if they're not connected to your heart, and this is something that men need to do. Now, I'll talk a bit about the lady's responsibility in a second. Okay. But we need to do that first. Okay. Come transparently, be who you are, show her everything you can show her, just in your behavior, in your countenance, and the way that you respond to situations. Let her see you, and then watch how she responds to you. Don't try to put a square peg into a round hole. I have this one story I used to tell. I call it the furniture store analogy, right? So you walk into a furniture store and you see this couch, and the couch is absolutely beautiful. This is the couch of couches, all right? You love this couch. You just can see this couch potentially in your house because you love the look of this couch, right? It looks like from a distance, looks fantastic. So yet you go on, you sit on the couch. Oh, you sit on the couch. The couch is, it doesn't fit your butt quite right. It's just not quite the couch you thought it was when you looked at it from across the room. But you're trying to wiggle around and make sure it fits your butt quite right. And they say, okay, I'm going to buy this couch because I love the way this couch looks. So then you get the deliverers to bring that couch to your house, and you can't get it into your house. Can't get the couch you love into your house. So then you're fumbling around with the couch. You're moving it around sideways, up and down. And then finally, you just push that couch into your house. Then you get into the house, into the space you want to put it in your living room, and it doesn't quite match the decor on the wall or the TV on the wall, or it just doesn't fit your house just right. But you force that sucker in your house anyway. So the couch is sitting in your house, beautiful couch, but it does not fit your house. Do you get what I'm saying, brothers? Don't be forcing no bad couch. Though it may look like a good looking couch, may feel good on this, the fabric looks good, but it's in your house and it sticks out like a sore thumb. Don't do that. Don't do that, because the rest of your life will be hell. Good looking couch doesn't fit in your house. So that's my furniture store analogy. So this is what brothers need to think about. Understanding and knowing your purpose and what's in your heart, good and bad. It doesn't have to all be good. Just whatever it is, just knowing it and living and walking in it is your first order of leadership. And even strong type A women want men who can lead, even though they may not follow it, which is a whole nother subject for another day. Women love men who can lead, who are comfortable in their leadership position, right? Your first order of leadership is to discern and know whether they are a fit in your life. You may have great rapport, you may get along, you may like the way she kisses you and the way she feels when you hug her, all those things. Yeah, I get it. But if she does not fit into your life, you got to say, no, thank you, baby. Let's just be friends or whatever you want to be, but you cannot and should not marry her. Now, she might not like that, but leadership is not always about being popular. Sometimes you are all alone in your leadership positions, but over time, if you lead in an area of certainty and strength and power, you will be proven to be correct 100% of the time. So presenting yourself honestly, transparently, is your first order of leadership. So that is what we should be doing, brothers. That is what we should be doing. And um, it's so important. Let me get to this other thing about why the impact on the ladies. So who I believe they want to respect the man that they've said yes to. They want to respect him. Okay. So if you go into the situation where she is not in tune with your purpose and you guys are not walking the same line together, there will come a bump in the road. Trust me. Marriage is not going to be all roses and peaches and cream or cookies and cream. I love cookies and cream ice cream. I love cookies and cream ice cream, but I digress. You will come up on really bad stuff will happen and you'll have to recover. If you don't have the foundation there to fall back on, it's going to be trouble in paradise and very quickly. I've got stories. I'm speaking from experience here, from total experience of, being married to people who didn't get me. Is it her fault or my fault? Brothers, it's my fault because I chose that. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story about one of my marriages. You won't know which because it's been two, so you had to figure it out. So one of my marriages, I was working for Variety, the entertainment trade paper. It was a really good job. I was a senior account manager. And we had met at a certain time, and I was working for Variety. Like maybe 3 or 4 weeks after we started dating, I lost my job. And then tried to find another job and was finding difficulty in my field of ad sales, finding another comparable job. So I started acting again. And my acting business was kind of taking off. I was getting a few jobs and this and that. And I was doing a couple of other independent contractor things in sales. I was doing independent contracting work for a couple of publications, which was pretty cool. I was making decent money. In fact, for the first 4 or 5 years I was married to this person, I was making more money than her, even though I didn't have a 9-to-5 job like she had. So let's go back to the dating process. I was very uncomfortable with getting married to her so quickly because I didn't have a job in that sense. And I said to her, I said, listen, I do want to marry you, but I want to take more time. Let's wait until the next year and let's get married. In fact, I want to get married around my birthday, the birthday weekend. My birthday fell on like a Friday or a Saturday that year. And I said, let's get married on my birthday weekend. And we agreed to that. So this is the kind of the summer's April, and we're moving into the summer. And then she wanted to move the date up to November. And I said, I didn't want to do that. I felt uncomfortable doing that because of my money situation, right? So anyway, this is what she did. She went out and she bought her own ring. Okay, she bought her own ring, which I didn't tell her to do. She just did it on her own. And I proceeded to pay for this ring on time. I paid for the ring on time, but she went out and like on credit, bought this ring at Zales or one of those places like that, or one of these ring places. Then after that, she asked me first. Okay, she did. She moves the date up to November of the previous year. We're like in August, September. She moves the wedding date up. Now, I was uncomfortable with that. She did it anyway. Now, full disclosure, I could have said, don't do that. I refuse to show up for this wedding, and I'm not going to get married. We got to make it on this April date, and just stood my ground. I didn't do that. So I'm just telling you the story to get to the point I'm going to make when I'm done with it. She went on and made that move. I did not stand my ground on it, knowing that we should have waited and went along with it. There were a couple of other things that happened as well that were really big warning signs, right? I got married in November of that year, okay? The thing went left literally almost immediately, like on the honeymoon. I began to see some really bad stuff on the honeymoon. No, Why do I tell this story? Because it's important to, even when you're unpopular, to stand your ground when you know the right thing to do. You stand as a leader early from the very, very beginning. You don't wait until you get married to try to do it, because now it's too late. Now you have basically created a monster. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I'm going to take a little bit of a commercial break, and we'll be right back in 30 seconds with what really is the top of our show today. More of this Ebony K. Williams and Iyanla Vanzant thing, but I got a different take on that. I'm going to go over that with you. So stay tuned. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Ha! You know what? I love doing this, and I'm getting better at it. So thank you, Mr. StreamYard. That's the app I use for providing this outlet and tool for me to use. All right, so by the time you see this exchange between Iyanla Vanzant and Ebony K. Williams might be old news. Right now, it's hot. You know, I posted this thing maybe a week and a half ago. And I'm going to share some other key points of this exchange that has not been in the press. She got a lot of flack for talking about bus drivers. And if the man owned the bus, then only then would they be an appropriate match for her. Now, first of all, a lot of people took offense to the fact that she said that, and even accused her of attacking brothers who were more or less blue-collar type workers. I didn't see it that way at all. I think that's an unfair attack on Ebony K. Williams. First of all, Ebony K. Williams is a grown-ass adult, beautiful woman. She has the right to choose whatever Ebony wants for her life, okay? And I'm not a bus driver, but I'm an actor. I'm in a field that is not a certain business. It's up and down. So I would be in that category because I don't have a steady flow of income. And she might feel that I might want her money, which is a whole nother story that I think that a lot of women make a mistake on. So I'm going to share 3 parts of this exchange and then comment on them and see what your thoughts are. Okay, so here's the first one. Let's go. We've got Ebony K. Williams. And
we know that Black women are earning college degrees faster than anybody else. Many of us are doing like we're doing, Iyanla. We're getting those terminal degrees, those JDs, MD, PhDs. We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men. Yes. In 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, D.C., L.A., you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man, so I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it, if he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalance. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong, it's obsolete. It's obsolete. We have to come up with a new way of being. I don't believe in carrying a man. A man has to do for himself. My son got his first job when he was 9. 9, okay? Because you're a black man, you will know how to take care of yourself. But I think the way we measure it, it's just obsolete.
Okay, but that's
All right. So I started the clip a little before to give it context than what we've seen. And we saw that Ebony broke down all of these, her own stipulations for what she wants, education. They are stepping into their leadership. And this is according to her. See, this is what she's lining up. Now, I don't agree with that. But I can see where she's coming from, and she has a right to want that. And let me just say this to those brothers out there who are blue collar, and the way she characterized it, totally incorrect. Brothers who are bus drivers, who are plumbers, different sorts of trade occupations, make really good money, are great men. They love their wives, in the way that Ayana explained it. Do you like what you do? So this is a very key part of what Ayana, I always mess her name up. What she's saying, do they like driving a bus? That's key. That's key. So here's where women need to understand where they lie in terms of the role that they have with the men they're choosing. If you meet a bus driver, he treats you well, he loves his mama. She talked about men taking care of themselves. When I was married to this one person, same person I mentioned earlier was talking about, she would always say that I couldn't take care of myself, which was like I won't call it a lie because it sounds like I'm disparaging her. But it wasn't true. But that's what her reality was. Her reality was that because she wasn't connected to my purpose. She just didn't get it. Okay. So her way of dealing with that was to tell me that I was living off her and that I couldn't take care of myself, which was not true at all. Okay. So that's why I go back to the whole leadership aspect. You have to lead in the beginning by isolating and knowing exactly who these women are and if they're connected to what you're doing in your life. That's more important than anything else. And here with Ebony K. Williams, it's just beyond her understanding. She has a whole different conceptualization of what success is, what a successful man is. She came back later and did a whole thing about racism and stuff that really dug a deeper hole for her. God bless her. But she has every right to want that. And I will say, if you are a blue collar man, what makes Ebony K. Williams think, as beautiful as she is, and she is beautiful, that a blue collar man would want her? If I was single and I met an Ebony K. Williams, I would not in the slightest, given who Carl Gilliard is today, be interested in Ebony K. Williams. Not even a little bit. So to me, it's about choices, okay? And Ebony has every single right to feel the way that she feels. I'm going to run another clip of this as well right now. So here we go.
Okay. Let's spend a little more time, just so we're really clear in this conversation, Dr. Van Zandt, difference between masculine energy and feminine energy, because I know that is not necessarily gender assigned, right? This is bigger than that. This is bigger than genitalia, right?
Right. Absolutely. When we talk about man is mind, woman is heart. And so many of us have guarded, broken, um, um, closeted hearts that we do everything from here. And here, as a woman that's been educated, that, like you said, has a degree, here will run out. Here will lie to you. This will never lie to you. But we've been taught not to trust this. We've been taught not to trust our knowing, our intuition. But a man can have a good idea and be brilliant. So we want to have good ideas. But for us, our power is in knowing, and it's in getting that intuition and moving on it. That our power is in what we feel, not necessarily emotion, but what we feel in our body. But so many of us are out of touch with our body. We'll give our body to somebody else before we really get in touch with it ourselves, because we're so busy doing till we don't know how to be. When I talk about feminine energy, again, I'm talking about the grace, the compassion, the humanity. I'm talking about mercy. I'm talking about silence, stillness. I'm talking about flow and movement. I'm talking about speaking from a place of intuitive knowing, love. I'm not, and that's not the masculine way. The masculine way is justice, structure, power, is control. That's masculine. Feminine is dominion, not control. But most of us, many of us, I'm in recovery, are control freaks. So it's a whole nother way, a whole nother vibe. She raises her hand. There's a whole nother vibe that we can tap into, that we have to tap into, because the world is dying. This society, this system is coming down. And if we don't step into our power as women, we're going down with it. With the fall of materialism and the collapse of the systems and the structures, we gotta. How many women do you know with degrees could live outside and survive for 3 days on the earth? How many do you know? I know I can. I know what to eat. I know where to find water. I'm not saying we got to go back to the rustic times of the wild wild west, but I'm saying being in contact and in touch with the earth in a way that empowers us.
Yeah.
Take the pants off. Take the pants off. Let your hoo-ha get some air.
Oh, wow. I absolutely love this because, see, this flies into the face of what the culture is doing right now in terms of gender roles. So I'm not going to get into that gender argument, but because that's inflammatory and that's not what I'm here for. But here's the point I'm going to make. Oftentimes, when I talk to my female friends, I've got lots of female friends who, were single. They're trying to get hooked up and all that. And they, in my view, though I love them, are not operating in their feminine energy. They're not operating in their fullness of that. Or do they use their intuition a lot? Okay. And that is something that I see greatly in Ebony K. Williams. Now, to her defense, now this is why I want to show some of these other clips. Did you see her raise her hand when she talked about she's a control freak? That's her recognition of what her problem actually really is, above everything else. Now, this is her life, her journey. It is not for me to come in and tell her what to do, how to live it, who to choose, none of those things. But to see her raise her hand like that told me that she was hearing what this lady was saying to her, and there may be hope for her in this area. And I think that if she wants to get married one day, that she's going to have to modify some of these things in her life because she will hit brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, in my view. I don't wish that on her, but I've lived long enough to know that this is what can happen. I remember some years ago, another wife who, in fact, both of my ex-wives are very accomplished in academia. One of them has a law degree and the other has a master's in social work. So one of those wives, I was talking to her, well, it was the first wife. I don't mind sharing this with you. That was a long, long time ago. Talking to her on the phone, having a conversation, and she's going on and on about, oh my goodness, I'm dating these people, and and it's not working out. They're not feeling me. Oh, she said that they were intimidated by her. She said they were intimidated by her. Now, this lady is beautiful. She's got a law degree. She makes her own money, all those different things. So when she got done with all of this complaining about men being intimidated by her, I said to her, I said, well, I know it looks like that. It looks like these men are intimidated by you, but the reality is they're just not interested. We don't like women who operate like that. Real men. Okay, so, and in fact, my wife told me I needed to make that differentiation, so I'm going to make it right now. Real men are not impressed by your degrees. We don't want your money, what kind of house you have, what kind of car you drive. As a matter of fact, those are the things that y'all are into. Real men don't care how much money you make or where you work. Now, we are happy for you. Like, if we like you and you're doing really well in your life, we're happy for you. We are thrilled that you're doing well, like we would for any other human being we care about. Okay, but it is not a driving factor in our choices. And I think that a lot of women make the mistake of thinking that because they have all these things going for them, that we should find it important. So this is like a real huge disconnect, in my view, of the modern dating phenomena, if it doesn't work. So I'm going to show you one more clip from this from the Griot, Ebony K. Williams and Iyanla Vanzant. Go.
For feminism, for me, is a political or a social construct, and a woman empowerment as a woman is an internal experience that becomes an external expression. I can be solid in myself as a woman. I may not want to play football or carry a gun on my hip. I may not. But the distinction is, I'm not looking to anything outside of myself for my power. Not. And I know that everything is coming to me to stretch, strengthen, grow me into my authentic and original being. And inside, I'm not guarded. I'm not harsh. I'm not brutal. I'm not violent. I'm not violent in my speaking. Women speaking today is so violent toward themselves and toward one another. So I'm not talking about a political construct, the women's movement.
Right.
I'm talking about the move of women for themselves, within themselves, so that they can be themselves in a completely different way.
I hear you. One thing before you leave us, I have to ask one thing about dating. The reality is there are more men right now, Iyanla, on dating apps and seeking partnership than there even are women, contrary to popular belief. And a lot of men say that they're struggling, probably because of what you named earlier, probably because the expectations of many of the women are out of sync with what society is offering at this point in time, blah, 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 blah. How do women adjust our energy so that we are more successful when it comes to dating? If we're looking to date.
Do we just want to date, or do we want to be partnered? That's one thing. If you have in your consciousness you want to date, you can date forever because you're going to find something wrong with everybody. But if you want to be partnered, my question is, what is your vision? What is it that you see for yourself, within yourself, about being in partnership? And are you willing to be in partnership as a woman, or do you want to be a dude having a relationship with a man? And when I say a dude, I mean how you manage yourself, how you talk to men. We got to stop talking to these men like they're boys. Even if he is driving the bus and he don't own it, or picking up trash, even if he did this 7.5 to 15, that doesn't give us a right to use this divine instrument called a throat and a voice to demean somebody. But you know what? If we demean each other, we're going to demean our men. And we have to remember as women that while we, you put a woman, she's got to feed the babies. So she's going to do what has to be done. We have a level of tenacity that many men haven't experienced, particularly men of color, because their genetic memory is that if they're too much, if they're too grown, if they're too big, if they're too smart, they're going to get hung. That's a genetic memory.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that who they are as men, I don't want to say is fragile or delicate, but it's more sensitive to our mouth.
Mm.
And our mouths are
Mm.
just, our mouths are out of order. I'm sorry, with each other, but definitely with
Mm.
men. It's, and I'm raising my hand. The only reason I can speak this is because I've lived it. And I knew how my
I
life
understand.
changed when I shifted from external masculine aggression to an internal knowing where I get my guidance and my direction. It's just different. And most women think it won't work in the world. But look at me. And there are hundreds of me. I'm not alone.
Yeah. Indeed. Iyanla Vanzant, just eye-opening. When I hear you talk and I hear the themes and even the tone, it's very Maya Angelou to me. It's very. It
That's an
is.
honor.
It
That's
is. It is very. Which is I intended to be the high compliment that I believe you received it. And none of us are beyond growing and learning. So I deeply appreciate the exchange and the
thank you.
wisdom. Final.
Okay, so I'm going to wind this up. But did you see how I'm sorry, Ebony K. Williams, how she evolved over the course of that interview? And this is not what they're showing you out there. Now, again, I don't agree with what she did or what she said, but I like telling the whole story. And I also felt that this exchange between the two of them served my subject for today, which is the power of the purpose, part 2, our first order of leadership. We as men have to choose wisely. Okay. And most men, though Ebony's beautiful, likely would not choose Ebony K. Williams, not because she's not beautiful or not, that she's not accomplished. It's just that she wouldn't fit into the lives of a lot of guys. But I'll leave you with this. So, in my view, I'm not a woman, so you ain't got to listen to me. If I was a high earner, right, making a lot of money, law degree, doing well, making a bunch of dough, I would evaluate what my life needs more so than how much money the man makes or if he owns the bus. Because again, real men don't care how much money you make. They want to build something. Okay. If I was found by a man who loved what he did, can take care of himself, also had huge potential, that you as a helpmeet, which is your role by definition as a wife, can elevate that dude because you're connected to his heart, that's a really good choice for you over the long term. It's a really good choice. Women should look for men whose purpose they connect to. It doesn't mean you can't still have your thing you're doing, your life, your career. Doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you can operate in the fullness of wifedom with the man whose purpose you connect to. So that's my advice for you as we wind this Twice Married Brother podcast down to the 0 hour. So anyway, you guys, thank you for watching today. Catch you next time. We're going to be coming in with some cool people. I'm going to come on with my wife. I got a really great friend I just met here in Atlanta. His name is Daryl Jackson. He's going to be my my sidekick, my Ed McMahon, so to speak. Brilliant brother. Looking forward to bringing him on. So check out the next one. We'll be back next week. Be blessed. Carl Gilliard, the Twice Married Brother. Peace. 2 fingers. Till next time.